By a show of fingers, who in this group uses TikTok? In a second, I got 5 of you. Okay, I want to focus on the 5. By a show of fingers, who's heard the news that last week President Biden signed a bipartisan bill in Congress to force TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, to sell TikTok to an American owner within 9 months or be banned in the US? Who heard that news? Show of fingers. 7 of you heard that. By a show of fingers, who supports this new law? This new law, the TikTok law that President Biden signed. Who supports it? None of you. 1 of you. Who opposes this new law? Show of fingers. 6 of you. Suchita, why do you support it?
I don't know the intricacies of it, but I think laws that focus on data privacy issues are important. I just think the US's or Biden's decision to focus on a Chinese company is very telling without focusing on like broader issues of data privacy. So I support the principle of protecting data privacy. I guess I don't support the specifics of the law, if that makes sense.
You're not supporting the law then?
Okay, yeah, sorry. I take my vote back.
Okay.
I think that law might be a good start to worrying about data privacy issues within Meta, within all the other social media platforms.
Okay, so hold on a second. So you do support it or you don't?
Okay, I'll say I do support it.
Okay, you do because of the ripple effects it might have on other companies.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, 6 of you don't support it. Angelina, why don't you support it?
Because I think there's bigger issues that we have to focus on, for one, and 2, it's not really affecting anybody. Like for me, that's where I get a lot of my news. That's where I get a lot of stuff that's informed. And while it might not be all accurate, it might be skewed to one side or not, I still get it's still brought to my attention through social media.
Okay. Anybody else have a different reason? Thank you. Anybody else have a different reason why you oppose it? Josh.
Part of why I opposed it is I heard from my tax professor, who's who I found it out from, that it was buried within another bill and not even mentioned in the title of that bill. So they're just kind of doing it in secret. And I also just think it's anti-freedom. Yeah.
Okay. Who's got a different reason why you oppose it? Maxwell?
I just wanted to add to what Josh said. It was packaged in with a border and a foreign aid bill, which is why it got signed, which is just so dumb that we don't have single issue bills yet. But they don't care that our data is being stolen. They care that it's being stolen by a Chinese company. If it was sold to an American company, nothing would change. They'd still be stealing our data. It just wouldn't be Chinese.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Isn't there a difference, Maxwell? Just work with me for a second as devil's advocate here. Isn't there a difference between a Chinese Communist Party owned company stealing your data and Facebook stealing your data?
No,
your data?
they're all gonna sell it. It's a for-profit thing. Facebook's gonna sell it. They have been selling it. Google's gonna sell it. They have been selling it. The Chinese Communist Party, they're selling it. It's a business. Well, ByteDance, the Chinese business.
Okay, I should not use the word stole. I'm saying using the data, selling it, whatever they might be using. But just to be clear, isn't the Chinese Communist Party a strategic threat to the United States in a way that Facebook is not?
No, I don't view China as a threat. Their military is well, right now it's building up, but their population is ancient. They're dying. Like, they don't pose a military threat to us.
Okay. By a show of fingers, who thinks that China does not pose a military threat to the United States? Show of fingers. Who's with Maxwell on that? Just so I get a sense of the room. Okay, so Maxwell's alone on that one. That's okay. By a show of fingers, who's going to use? Let me rephrase it. By a show of fingers, who will hold this new law against President Biden when you vote in November? 4 of you. Okay. For those of you who oppose the sale of TikTok, do you think that if former President Trump promised to protect TikTok from being taken away, would you consider voting for him if you weren't already planning to? Wow. So 3 of you would vote for Trump if Trump stood up and said, I'm going to protect TikTok. Angelina, you're going to vote for Trump if Trump says, I'm going to protect TikTok?
I'm still not gonna vote, but I might encourage others to vote for him.
Okay. It's based solely on TikTok.
Not just solely on TikTok.
Okay.
It
Hunter,
would
you
play into it, yes.
okay. Hunter?
Yeah, I would say I could see myself solely using that as a way, just because I don't see much different between the two, I guess, Biden and Trump.
Okay. Got it. Cecilia, what about you?
I use TikTok every day. So if I it's what I used to relax at the end of the day. So if I didn't get to have TikTok, I don't know. It's just been a part of my life for so long.
Okay.
That I love it.
By a show of figures, how many of you think that former President Trump should be actively campaigning on protecting TikTok for Americans? That would be a smart thing for him to do in order to encourage your generation to vote for him. How many of you think that would be a wise approach? 6 of you. Okay. By a show of fingers, who thinks President Biden has no clue what TikTok is or how it works? 7 of you. Okay. And by a show of fingers, who has seen on TikTok at least one video created by President Biden's campaign? Created by his campaign? 3 of you. Different topic. By a show of fingers, who in this group uses TikTok? Who uses TikTok? I've got 5 of you. By a show of fingers, who's heard the news that last week President Biden signed a bipartisan bill in Congress to force TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, to sell TikTok to an American owner within 9 months or be banned in the US? Who heard that news? 6 of you heard that. And by a show of fingers, who supports this new law? 1 of you, Ryan. Show of fingers, who opposes this new law? 4. Where were the other 3 of you?
I don't really agree or disagree with it.
Okay. Belle, what
I
about
don't-
you?
What are you asking me?
No. Kevin, are you in favor or opposed to it?
Neither. I'm not informed enough.
Okay. Belle, same with you? Okay, 3 not informed, and 4 of you would say you're opposed. Ryan, quickly, why are you in favor of it?
I'm in favor of it just because I'm a comp sci major and I dabble kind of in cybersecurity. It's a cybersecurity risk for personal information to be sold to an international company that is not in our region, even more so.
Got it. Okay. 4 of you oppose this. Why? Ethan, why do you oppose it?
I feel like TikTok has done a lot of good for like smaller businesses and creators and provide a lot of opportunity and entertainment for people. And I don't think necessarily it's as much of a security risk as any other app or any sort of risk. I don't think it's like a major like this risk is way more than anything else.
Okay. Emma, why do you oppose it?
I know the creator of, or the president or CEO of TikTok has pledged that that app is a safe space for creativity, for smaller business. It's also, I just believe, like TikTok, like Ethan said, isn't as big of a risk as any other social media out there.
Hold on a second. Allow me to play devil's advocate with you for a second. So the Chinese Communist Party has access to a huge amount of data for more than 100 million Americans through TikTok. That doesn't worry you as a security risk to the United States?
Not necessarily, because I don't know what the United States is doing with our own data as well. I just feel like I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, so I can't say I'm 100% certain in anything that is concerning social media.
So hold on a second. So they're having TikTok controlling all this data and having, let's say, Facebook or Meta controlling all this data. They're the same thing in your mind? They're equal?
Yeah, I suppose I'm saying that, yes.
Okay. Sophia, those two things are identical in your mind? There's no difference between the Chinese Communist Party having data on 100 million Americans versus Meta having it?
I think this is where the political interest comes into play. But I think what Biden's doing on a large, like putting this policy out there, it's basically bullying and it's an overstepping of power. And I think it's limiting this essential platform for providing a lot of like firsthand evidence and sources outside of the mainstream narrative. And I think it's gonna impact what we like. I don't know. I just see it as like a censorship type of thing.
Okay. So again, you see it as censorship, but doesn't it concern you at all that the Chinese Communist Party, which is threatening Taiwan, there's a chance of war because of this?
I mean, I see what you're trying to say, but I don't think for me I think that kind of privacy of the data that they have access to, and same with the US government has access to basically the same data. It's kind of an illusion, and I don't think it like it has a factor in the warfare at all.
Okay, but hold on a second. If the US government and the Chinese Communist Party both have access to the data, one's not riskier to you than the other?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, you could argue that like the US has more of an incentive to protect and serve me, but I think at the end of the day, they just feed it to advertisers and they sell my data anyways, so.
Got it. Okay. By a show of fingers, who will hold this law against President Biden when you vote in November? Who's going to hold it against him that he signed this bill? 3 of you. So for those of you who oppose the sale of TikTok, do you think if former President Trump promised to protect TikTok from being taken away, you would consider voting for him if you weren't already planning to? Ethan and Dan, for 2 of you, if Trump said, man, I'm going to make sure that nobody touches TikTok, it would cause the 2 of you to maybe vote for him. Really, this issue matters that much to you? Okay.
Can I have a comment just real quick?
Super quick, Kevin.
I'd just like to say that TikTok is the only company that with a connection to China. Facebook has also sold data to Chinese companies, I believe, and like Temu is also a Chinese company, lots of data user given to China. That's just all I like to say.
Okay, got it. Thank you. By a show of fingers, who thinks President Biden has no clue what TikTok is or how it works? Show of fingers, who feels that way? 5 of you. And by a show of fingers, who has seen on TikTok at least one video created by President Biden's campaign? Have you seen any Biden campaign created ads on TikTok? None of you.